The Dodgers swept the Mariners. They have now officially weathered this storm of the 13 straight days of playing, going 10-3 on that stretch. The whole team contributed here, maybe most notably 8 runs with no home runs. That's pretty good. Lots to talk about, so let's get live on Locked On Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Dodger fans, this is Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks to our everydayers for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. And thanks to those of you who are live with us here on Wednesday evening. Talking Dodgers. Remember, this show is free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube simply by searching for Locked On Dodgers. So please subscribe wherever you're watching or listening right now. If this is your first time with us, my name is Jeff Snyder. My normal co-host is Vince Semperio, although it's just me tonight. Vince and I are both lifelong Dodger fans, just like a lot of you. We've also both spent time covering the Dodgers in the press box and the locker room. So we bring you the smart fans perspective on our boys in blue every weekday morning. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And this game, we come into this game knowing the Dodgers have already won the series, even knowing the Padres had already lost earlier in the day. And so you kind of worry about a lack of urgency or something that, okay, we'll win the series. We're not going to lose ground on the Padres. And going up against Logan Gilbert, who is legitimately one of the best pitchers in baseball. Very, very good. It would have been very easy for the Dodgers to roll over and just kind of, obviously they're going to try, but we've seen games where maybe the urgency wasn't quite there like it should be. Not a ton, not as much as a lot of people think maybe, but I think there was part of us that maybe expected something like that. And instead, the Dodgers put a hurting on Logan Gilbert. And it wasn't like he had a bad game. They battled, and he made a lot of good pitches, and they were able to jump on a few mistakes and really, like, it was a good class in how you should treat a really good pitcher, because they didn't hit any home runs in this game. Logan Gilbert doesn't give up many home runs. And so they were going to have to score runs other ways. They took advantage of a key error in the the third inning, and they put up 2 runs. They were down 1-0 at that point. Took the lead on a 2-out double by Mookie Betts. Later, Will Smith added a sac fly to make it 3-0. And then the 5th inning was the big blow of the game with 1 out. Shohei Ohtani on second base, and Gilbert threw a wild pitch to move Ohtani to third base with Mookie at the plate. And you think, sweet, they're going to get him in. Mookie had already come through earlier in the game with 2 outs. In this case, Mookie hit a chopper to third base that wasn't able to score Ohtani. Missed opportunity. Freddie Freeman said, don't worry about it. He hit a double. And then Teoscar Hernandez hit a single to score Freddie. And suddenly it's 5-1. And then what happened after Teoscar's single? Oh, then Lux immediately singled. And then Will Smith got walked to load the bases, and they pull Logan Gilbert. Getting Logan Gilbert out of the game in the 5th inning is remarkable. Joe Davis mentioned Logan Gilbert throws a quality start almost every time he's out there, and they knock him out of the game. 5 runs already in 4 2/3 innings, and then first pitch at Max Muncy sees from a relief pitcher, 3-run double. So in the end, 8 runs off Gilbert, 6 of them earned. I assume I didn't look, but I would assume that was Gilbert's worst game of the season. I can't imagine that he's given up more than 6 runs in a game, but I'm going to tell you for sure here in a second. Oh, no, he has. Oh, he's had a couple clunkers. He's had a lot of really good games, but this was actually only his 3rd worst. He gave up 7 earned runs in 2 2/3 against the Red Sox a couple weeks ago. And then on May 9th, 8 earned runs in 4 innings against the Twins. But other than that, like, the rest of his starts have been somewhere between solid and outstanding. And so this was pretty darn impressive for the Dodgers to do that to Logan Gilbert, because, the concern is always, and we talk about it a lot on this show, you're always worried about what's the offense going to be like when it gets to the postseason. And a lot of people worry about, are they too home run dependent? I don't stress about that as much as a lot of people, because home runs come from hitting the ball hard. And you know what, if you hit the ball hard and it doesn't go over the wall, a lot of times it's a double. And you know, if a guy hits a 3-run homer, that's better than a 2-run double, even though the 2-run double is less home run dependent. But you know what, hit a little harder and farther, and it's a 3-run homer instead. Solo homers, you can't really live on those necessarily, but multi-run homers, not that big a deal. I kind of like those. But to put up 8 runs without any home runs is also impressive, because against a really good pitcher, one of the hardest things to do is put up a rally against a really good pitcher. And for the Dodgers to score 5 runs after there were 2 outs in that 5th inning, just, you know, who knows what's going to happen in October, but at least what we saw tonight is that it can happen. And that's good news for Dodger fans. Max Muncy continues to be hot. He had 2 doubles tonight, including that 3-run double. He almost had a 3rd double like 3 different times in his last at bat. He ended up striking out, but almost, he kept pulling it down the right field line, almost hooking another double a few times, missed by a couple inches one of the times. It's pretty remarkable that Max Muncy, after missing 3 months, has come back and just picked up like he was never gone. It was unexpected. I expected Muncy. I was glad Muncy came back when he did, because I thought he was going to need a month or so to get back in the swing of things to be ready for October. And the fact is now he's just picking up right where he left off. So whatever he was doing, I don't know if he was in the batters, you know, the batting cage tracking pitches a lot or whatever, but he didn't miss a step. And that's pretty awesome to see. We're starting to see, you know, Shohei Ohtani got a hit. He also walked. He stole a base. He's at 39. Is it 39 of each now? I think he's at 39 and 39 home runs and stolen bases. Yeah, so 1 homer and 1 stolen base to get away from 40-40. He will be only the 6th player ever to get 40-40, and definitely looks like he's going to do it earlier in a season than anybody ever has. I remember when Alex Rodriguez did it in 1998. I know that was September 19th, I think. I was at the game in Anaheim when he got his 40th home run to get to 40-40. Yeah, I mean, that was almost a full month later than we are in the season right now. Pretty remarkable. Obviously won't happen on Thursday because the Dodgers have a day off on Thursday, but sometime soon, Shohei Ohtani is going to get to 40-40. First DH ever to do that. First DH ever to steal 40 bases, let alone the 40 home runs. So that was nice to see him. You know, he's starting to pick things up a little bit. Everybody on the team except Tommy Edman had a hit, and Edman got on an error that was hit really hard that, you know, I think on some days might have been scored a hit. It probably was an error, but he hit the ball hard. And it wasn't one guy carrying the team. Teoscar Hernandez and Max Muncy, the only guys on the team who had 2 hits. In the end, they only had 10 hits, only 10 hits. But 10 hits by 8 different players, plus 2 walks. They took advantage of wild pitches. The Mariners threw 4 wild pitches. Interestingly, all 4 of them were with a runner on second to move the guy from second to third, which, you know, I don't think there's any easy way to look it up, but I'd be surprised if there's ever been 4 wild pitches with a runner on second base by one team in one game before. Probably has been. Things happen weird in baseball, but you don't see it very often. And 3 of those guys ended up scoring. The Dodgers took advantage of those. One of them was Kevin Kiermaier moving over to third. The first wild pitch moved to third with 1 out, and Will Smith immediately hit a sac fly. Like, boom, that's what you have to do. There was another one, maybe even 2 in that 5th inning. Then there was one later that didn't end up scoring. But 3 of the 4 guys who moved up on wild pitches scored. Just all in all, like, they struck out 10 times because, like I said, Logan Gilbert is really good. The Mariners have a solid pitching staff. Gilbert, you look at his line, 4 2/3 innings, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. You're like, oh, he pitched pretty well. Oh, he gave up 6 runs, 7 hits. So 9 base runners for the major league leader in WHIP, walks plus hits per inning pitched. Basically, Logan Gilbert leads the major leagues in fewest base runners allowed, and the Dodgers put up 9 base runners in 4 2/3 innings on him. Just awesome. And you can't say enough about how they won this game. I'm going to come back in a minute. We're going to talk about Jack Flaherty's side of things. He was really good, and yet also not as good as he thought he should be. talk a little bit about the extracurriculars, the benches clearing, all that. So thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. And please keep it locked on Dodgers. This episode is brought to you by TonaI. For those of us who thrive on getting stuff done, including workouts, every minute counts. That's why you need TonaI, the smart strength training system that takes the guesswork out of working out so you can make sure you're making the most of every rep. TonaI is the world's smartest and most effective strength training system that helps get you stronger. Powered by AI, TonaI learns with every rep so it can deliver workouts personalized just for you. TonaI learns from your movement and provides suggested weight recommendations for every move with detailed progress reports. They even create personalized program and workout suggestions or recommendations based on your individual goals. It's like having a personal trainer at home with you, as TonaI will optimize every workout just for you. Unlike traditional gym equipment, TonaI uses adaptive digital weight to advance your training techniques. From professional athletes to the mom of three, TonaI is trusted by thousands who have become their strongest. And right now, TonaI is offering our listeners $200 off your TonaI purchase with promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's TonaI.com and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $200 off your purchase. TonaI.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $200 off. Hey, I'm back. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. If you're not an everydayer, it's easy to become one. Just watch or listen every weekday morning, and you can make that easy on yourself by subscribing wherever you're watching or listening right now. You can also go beyond the podcast and become a Locked On Dodgers insider by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. It's a lot of fun texting. You can text one-on-one with us, get our updates on things throughout the day. Check it out. Just a few bucks a month, free 14-day trial. Also, check out Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles, the two 24/7 streaming channels on YouTube from the Locked On Podcast Network. Locked On Sports LA is where you can find the Locked On Dodgers postcast, hosted by Pete Fox after almost every Dodger game. So check that out. And remember, you can catch every pitch of every Dodger game on SiriusXM or the SXM app just by searching for Dodgers. Jack Flaherty tonight making his fourth start with the Dodgers and looked really good for the most part. He allowed 2 runs. Only one of them was earned. The run that, he should have got through 6 innings because he got through 5 2/3, and Gavin Lux made an error on what should have been the third out. Would have been through 6 innings, 1 run allowed, which I think would have felt a lot better to everybody than 5 2/3 and 2 runs allowed, even though only one of them was earned. But Flaherty himself said after the game that he's in a little bit of a funk, not getting as deep in games as he wants to, because his pitch count was at 99, just under 100. So after Lux's error, they took him out, and the second run scored after he was out of the game. Anthony Bonda walked in a run before striking out to a guy to get out of the inning. But all in all, you figure about 6 innings and 1 or 2 runs. That's kind of what the Dodgers traded for him for. Obviously, we are looking forward to some of the even better games, but the fact that this is a baseline, that Jack Flaherty is disappointed with 5 2/3 and 1 earned run, kind of tells you how the bar is a little bit higher with him than some of the alternatives the Dodgers have. Yesterday, we had Walker Buehler getting through 4 and talking about how he feels like he's really close. Flaherty is bummed about not getting through 6. And Flaherty wants to go 7, wants to go 8, and that's what the Dodgers are looking for. So it's fun having Jack Flaherty on the team. I like him. Randy Arozarena didn't seem to like him very much. There was a little bit of extracurriculars. Arozarena's first time up, he ripped a foul ball that missed being a home run by less than a foot. Almost hit the foul pole in left field, ended up just foul. And, the first row of seats wasn't like wouldn't have been a long home run if it had been a home run, but a home run is a home run. And then the next pitch, Flaherty hit Arozarena on the butt with a slider, and Arozarena took offense to it. And Flaherty just laughed because Flaherty's thinking, okay, it was a slider and there's 2 strikes. Honestly, I don't know anything about Randy Arozarena. I like Randy Arozarena a lot. You guys know, if you're an everydayer, I was advocating for the Dodgers to get him. I think he would have been a star in Los Angeles. I like his attitude. But dude, if you think that was intentional, you are not in tune with the game as it's happening. And maybe that, some players just need to have that chip on their shoulder have that edge in order to be successful. Maybe that's all it was. Like, oh, I got hit. I got a mad dog because that's what I do. That's what makes me Randy Arozarena. Maybe. I don't know. Flaherty just laughed it off, and they kind of gave each other a thumbs up as Arozarena was going down to first base. Seems like maybe it wasn't totally full-hearted on either side, because after Arozarena's next time up, he flied out to right field to end the inning, and Flaherty said something to Arozarena, and Arozarena took offense, and there was no fisticuffs, no brouhaha, no shenanigans, no what's the other word? I can't remember. Vince Scully used to have another word that he liked. None of that. But, benches cleared. People yelled some things. And after the game, Flaherty said he stressed he has nothing but respect for Randy Arozarena. He's a great player. And he said there's no reason I would be throwing at him there. And so a reporter asked him, what did you say to him after the fly ball? And Flaherty said that'll stay between the lines of the field. And we said what we needed to say, and we moved on. And I have nothing but respect for Arozarena. So it's not really going to be an issue, because they don't play the Mariners again, and looks like the Mariners aren't going to be in the playoffs, let alone the World Series. So they're not going to see each other again for a while. Although I know Flaherty is a free agent. We'll see, if it carries over in the future, but it doesn't seem like it will. Dodgers don't have many of those things anymore. Since Puig left and since Madison Bumgarner left, it's like, there's not a lot of incidents like this for the Dodgers. It used to be a lot. Like 2013, they had a lot just that year. They had one with the D-backs, and they had one with the Giants, and one with actually a couple with the D-backs. I think, was it both that same year when Zach Greinke got his collarbone broken by Carlos Quentin? And I know there was one where they had like people backed up against the fence. It was crazy. And obviously Madison Bumgarner and Yasiel Puig got into it a couple times. Puig got into it with the Giants catcher, whose name I can't remember, Nick Hundley, I think. Obviously Max Muncy with Madison Bumgarner. A lot of extracurriculars over the years. Hasn't been a lot lately. And I don't mind that there's not a lot, because I didn't like when Zach Greinke got hurt, because that meant he wasn't pitching for the Dodgers. That's my big concern, is guys getting hurt. So I don't mind when there's not a lot of these, but I also don't mind when occasionally there's a little bit of that, especially like this, where there's no punches thrown, nobody's going to get suspended, none of that. It was just showing a little passion on the field. So that it was fine. It was fine. It hasn't changed my love for Randy Arozarena. I do think he was not in tune with the game here tonight to think that was intentional. But I still like the guy, and I hope that I wouldn't mind if he's a Dodger someday still. Other stuff in this game, somebody mentioned, Elisheva mentions Kevin Kiermaier got a triple, and it was a triple to left field too. That's like we've seen Shohei Ohtani's triple yesterday. One of the first two games of this series was to right center, and it was where most guys you hit it and you say, okay, that's a double. And Shohei was thinking triple out of the box, and there's not a ton of guys. It's like Shohei and Bobby Witt and Elly De La Cruz, guys like that who think triple on a ball to the gap. Obviously, if you're in San Francisco where they have a place that's literally called Triples Alley, sure, you're thinking triple there. If you're in Colorado or Kansas City where the outfield grass is, there's so much outfield space, you're thinking triple. But Dodger Stadium, a normal size symmetrical stadium, that is a double 1,000% of the time, and Ohtani turned into triple. Tonight, Kiermaier's was just a double to left field, but he recognized, okay, Arozarena is out there, not the best defensive left fielder, and so probably not going to take the best route. So credit to Kiermaier, he was thinking triple out of the box. Not necessarily I have a triple, but I'm going to see if I can get a triple. And the only way to get a triple on that is to be going hard through second base, and then you make your decision. And he got to second base and realized, yeah, I can turn this into a triple. And it was a close play at third, but he or it would have been close if the third baseman had caught the ball. But all in all, like that sort of play by Kevin Kiermaier kind of shows why fans love him. You see it in the outfield with his defensive play. He is fundamentally sound on every play, got a great arm, in position to make a throw, getting to the ball. Like we've heard a lot over the years. If you're a baseball fan, you've heard about Kevin Kiermaier for the last decade or so being the best defensive center fielder in baseball. I remember when there was when they were adding netting at all the stadiums further down the line to protect fans from foul balls. And there was, some people were saying, if people would just watch the game, then you don't got to worry about it. And one of the points I made was there's more to watching a game than looking at the ball. If you're just watching the pitcher throw the pitch to the batter and then see where the ball is hit, you're only watching a small part of the game. And one of the examples I often used was, if I am at a game and Kevin Kiermaier is playing center field, I want to be watching him more than anything else, because I want to see, okay, the pitcher just went into his windup. What is Kevin Kiermaier doing? How does he get these great jumps? Because there's a lot, especially when I'm there with my boys who like to play baseball, I want to tell them, look, watch Kiermaier here. Watch, whenever there's an elite defensive player, watch Nolan Arenado at third base. See what he's doing. And that's one of the fun things I love about going to a stadium with my boys, is so that they can see this is how you play baseball. And so anyway, the only reason I brought that up is because Kiermaier was always an example I used during that netting debate of, if you're only watching the ball, you're not getting the full picture, because just watching Kevin Kiermaier play baseball is a joy. And so seeing that on the offensive side too, seeing that a guy who has already said he's most likely retiring at the end of the year because he's old and tired, to see him busting his butt out of the batter's box when they already have a big lead, but knowing I have a chance for 3 here, I'm going to take it. I loved it. I am a big fan of Kevin Kiermaier, obviously, and doesn't necessarily mean, just like yesterday, we said Jason Hayward's home run doesn't mean he's going to make the postseason roster. Kevin Kiermaier's defense and hustle don't mean he's going to make the postseason roster, but you can kind of see what the arguments are for a lot of these guys, and why there are some guys who maybe longer tenure or more fan favorite or whatever, but maybe less deserving of a spot. And so it'll be interesting to see. But Kevin Kiermaier, I love what he's doing. And I'm kind of hoping he's going to say, you know what? I'm not retiring after all. Turns out I wasn't old and tired. I just was tired of losing. And now that I've played for a good team, I remember that baseball's fun. And but you know what? He's been hitting well. He's been obviously playing great defense. Happy to see that for Kiermaier. I'm going to come back in a minute. There's a lot of injury news, updates, timelines, all that stuff we'll dig into, kind of get a feel for what the roster is going to look like in the near and not so near future. So thank you again for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen, and please keep it Locked On Dodgers. This episode is brought to you by SupplyHouse. Order supplies from the website that's made for the skilled trades. Find thousands of parts from hundreds of brands in just a couple clicks at SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com gives you 24/7 access to a huge selection of plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with fast delivery anywhere in the U.S. Need help with an order? Get industry-leading after-sales service from their friendly and knowledgeable customer support team, and talk to a real person every time. And there's great news for plumbers, technicians, and contractors. Being a pro has its perks. Trade industry professionals can join their free TradeMaster program for free shipping and serious discounts on every order. Over 100,000 pros already trust the TradeMaster program to deliver results. Apply for your membership today and get a competitive edge on every order at supplyhouse.com/TM. Save money and time when you order online. Order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. This episode is also brought to you by Game Time. I love sports. I love concerts. I love comedy shows. The thing they all have in common is buying tickets. And that means the other thing they all have in common is you can find the best price on Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Are you thinking about heading to Arizona to watch the Dodgers take on the D-backs on Labor Day? You can get 50% off tickets to that game exclusively on Game Time with limited availability and supply. So get your tickets for this Labor Day special while they last. Take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Hey, I'm back. Thank you again for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. Please become an everydayer by watching and listening every weekday morning. Become a Locked On Dodgers insider by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. Check out Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles on YouTube. Catch every pitch of every Dodger game on Sirius XM or the SXM app. And for your second listen today, check out Locked On MLB, hosted by Paul Francis Sullivan, a.k.a. Sully, covering all of Major League Baseball. He'll probably be talking about the Dodgers quite a bit because the Dodgers have the best record in baseball. They gained a game on the Padres in the division, so the Marlins weren't able to hold the lead against the D-backs, so the D-backs won, but that means the Dodgers are 4 games ahead of both the Padres and the D-backs. Nolan Arenado hit a walk-off grand slam against the Brewers, so the Dodgers are now 2 games ahead of the Brewers. And I actually didn't see what happened in the Phillies game, so I am not sure. Did the Phillies even play today? Oh, it's Wednesday. I'm sure they did. Let's see. Scrolling here. This is good podcasting material. Listen to me scroll. The Phillies won. So now the Dodgers are at 76-52. The Phillies are at 74-52. So the Dodgers are a game ahead of the Phillies, 2 games ahead of the Brewers, 4 games ahead of both the D-backs and the Padres, 11.5 ahead of the Giants. Right now, the wild card teams would be the Diamondbacks, the Padres, and the Braves if the playoffs started right now, with the Mets game and a half behind for that 4th wild card spot, or behind for the 3rd wild spot. They're in the 4th spot. So yeah, a good day for the Dodgers, gaining ground, all of that. We also got some good injury news. Blake Treinen returned from the injured list. Ben Kasperius was sent back to the minors. Spent a few days in the big leagues, never got to get in a game, but he got some paychecks. He was on the roster for 4 or 5 days, so he got probably 20 grand. Worst things for a minor league pitcher, so good for him. Having Treinen back, Treinen didn't look great in this game. I was a little bit concerned about his velocity. Obviously, command. He gave up a hit on an 0-2 pitch. Didn't get hit hard, but he did get hit. Didn't necessarily put guys away like he sometimes does, but also first game back. We'll see. I'm not overly concerned right now about that. We also found out that Tyler Glasnow might not return as soon as he's eligible, which is only 6 days from now. August 28th, I believe, is when he's eligible because they backdated his IL stint to August 13th. So the 28th is when he would be available. And, that's not overly surprising, I guess, even though, when he was put on the IL, he said he felt fine. He wanted to keep pitching. But it's kind of a balance, because even if you're just putting him on the IL out of an abundance of caution, well, that also means shutting him down out of abundance of caution. And they said that he hasn't started playing catch yet. And so if he doesn't start doing that soon, he's not going to be back when he's eligible to come back. I wouldn't be surprised if, just with the roster crunch, as we've talked about so many times, rosters expanding on September 1st, maybe they just wait till then. And maybe it's even longer than that. Realistically, as long as he is healthy and built up for October, that's what matters to me. That'll be the good stuff. Yoshinobu Yamamoto threw a sim game today. He's going to throw one more sim game. Then he's going to go on a rehab assignment. Dave Roberts said to expect him back in mid-September, which is kind of what I said yesterday, or maybe I said it on the radio this morning. I don't remember. I said it sometime recently. I'm thinking mid-September. But these rehab starts, he will be getting built up. And so it's not going to be a case of he comes back in mid-September and then he needs 4 starts to get built up and there's not enough time before the end of the season. He's going to be built up, or relatively built up, when he returns, get a couple starts in the big leagues, and assuming everything goes well, he is in the postseason rotation. So that'll be good. I'm excited to see Yamamoto pitch again. I love that guy, and he was really, really good. And so there's no reason to think he won't be really, really good when he returns again. So I'm looking forward to that. Miguel Rojas was in the starting lineup for this game tonight and then was scratched. And they originally had Tommy Edman in center field and Rojas at short. They scratched Rojas, said it was a balky hamstring, and that he will be back in the lineup on Friday. So they moved Edman to shortstop and put Kiermaier in center field. Now, saying that Rojas will be back in the lineup on Friday is definitely something someone would say if he will be back in the lineup on Friday, but it also could be something someone would say if he was slow playing or downplaying a potential IL stint. Because if Chris Taylor's coming back, we talked yesterday about how maybe Jason Hayward's back is going to have to start acting up. You know what? Miguel Rojas' hamstring might be the same thing, because when you've got Tommy Edman who can play shortstop, you've got Kike Hernandez who plays shortstop, you've got Chris Taylor coming back who can play shortstop. Not the end of the world to give Rojas a little bit of a break too, if that's what they choose to do. I don't have any idea if this will be an IL stint, if they're thinking about that, or if it really was just his hamstring tightened up and they plan on him playing on Friday. We'll see on Friday if he's in the lineup, but I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up on the IL to make room for Chris Taylor. Showtime LA asked if I'm worried about Glasnow. Not overly, no. I haven't seen anything that would make me worried. The fact that he's not going to be back in 15 days, like I said, it's not overly surprising and doesn't cause me concern. Realistically, when you give a guy like Tyler Glasnow a lot of money and a lot of years, you're not expecting him to be healthy the whole time. What you're hoping is that he'll be healthy in October. And so August 22nd doesn't stress me out very much. If he's not back by September 15th, then I'll be worried about it. Speaking of August 22nd, happy anniversary to me and my wife. My lovely wife, Beth, married me 21 years ago today. I'm saying August 22nd because where I live, it is now 12:06 a.m. I know most of you are in California where it's still August 21st, but where I live, it is my anniversary. So happy anniversary to me, and more importantly, happy anniversary to my lovely wife, Beth. And I think that's going to do it for me for today. Great to have a sweep. Great to pick up ground. Like I said at the beginning, the Dodgers have played games 13 straight days. They finally get a day off now. They went 10-3 in that time. At the start of the 13 days, they were 2.5 games up in the West. They are now 4 games up. They just took 13 games off the schedule and gained ground on the Padres. This is why I've always said I would rather be the team that's 3 games up than the team that's 3 games back, because you can just knock days off the schedule. You control your own destiny. The Dodgers control their own destiny, and that is a great situation to be in, and they are winning games. That, you know, it's not going to get easier necessarily. They now play the Rays for 3, and then the Orioles for 3, and then a 4-game series with the D-backs, and then 2 with the Angels, 3 with the Guardians. So, yeah, I mean, there's some tough games coming up, but also at the end, wow, I didn't realize this. At the end of the season, the Dodgers, remember this easy stretch the Padres just had where they had 15 games that was 6 with the Pirates, 6 with the Rockies, and 3 with the Marlins? Well, the Dodgers' last 12 games of the season, they have 3 with the Marlins, 6 with the Rockies, and 3 with the Padres. But with those Marlins and Rockies games and everything, Dodgers might have already wrapped up the division before they even play the Padres, which is what we can hope for. They'll play the Padres with 6 games left. So we need to get the lead up over 6 games before September 24th. And then that way those games won't matter at all. So anyway, that's going to do it for me. We will have an episode tomorrow. It'll be an off day episode. So if you've got questions, you got things you want us to talk about, hit us up. I'll give you all that contact info in a second. Thank you for being here with me live. Thanks for making us your first listen every weekday morning. If you're not an everydayer, just become one by watching and listen every weekday morning. Make that easy on yourself by subscribing wherever you're watching or listening right now. Be sure to check out Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles, the 2 24/7 streaming channels on YouTube from the Locked On Podcast Network. Go beyond the podcast and become a Locked On Dodgers insider by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Locked On Dodgers. Vince is on Twitter at VinceSince91. I'm on Twitter at SnyDog. Both of our DMs are open there. You can also email us, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or send us a voicemail or a text message to 323-863-LOCK, 5625. We are here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us. When you get in your car or sit on your couch, tell your smart device to play podcast Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. We'll talk to you tomorrow.